What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, bringing you the latest news from here in Taipei. A magnitude 7.2 earthquake hit Taiwan this morning, with the epicenter off the coast of Hualien County in the country's east. 4 people are confirmed dead, and the quake has caused major damage to buildings and roads throughout the country. It's the largest tremor to hit Taiwan in 25 years. Search and rescue efforts are underway. Our reporter Sally Jensen is near Hualien, and we'll speak to her live in a moment. But we begin our coverage of the quake with Tiffany Wong in Taipei.
Starting the day with a magnitude 7.2 earthquake. It struck just before 8 a.m. off Taiwan's coastal city of Hualien and could be felt around the country, toppling buildings, triggering a tsunami warning, and causing landslides. At least 4 people were killed and dozens more were injured. In the capital of Taipei, over 100 kilometers from Hualien, residents were left rattled.
因为摇得很厉害，然后我们家门口的机车都倒了，然后我就赶快关瓦斯、关电源，把大门打开，很强啊，好像房子快倒了。
对，因为它是这样子蛮晃的，所以可能也很久没地震了，所以就觉得很恐怖。
The strong tremor and several aftershocks brought traffic around the island to a standstill during the morning rush hour, while officials inspected the metro, train, and high-speed rail systems.
Earthquake relief efforts are still underway, with people being evacuated from damaged buildings and roads still being cleared. Now, a tsunami warning is still in place, and government officials have warned people to be on high alert for aftershocks. Howard Zhang and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for Taiwan Plus.
The earthquake has caused major damage to the main travel artery along Taiwan's east coast. Sally Jensen is joining us live in Yilan, close to Hualien, where the epicenter was. Sally, what's the situation there?
We're on Taiwan's east coast, around 60 kilometers from the epicenter, and we can't go any further along this road because of the massive damage the earthquakes caused. Huge landslides. There's reports of people stuck in the tunnels, rocks falling on cars, and we don't know how many people along this road have been injured, but around the country, 4 people have died and dozens more have been injured. This is a major highway connecting the capital city Taipei in the north to places along the east coast, including Hualien, a city of 100,000 people that's been described now as effectively isolated, as there's no way in from the north. Now, a legislator in Hualien has requested an emergency ferry to his city, but this is an area that's already not particularly accessible in terms of transportation links. Adding to all of this is the amount of people who are hoping to use this road to travel around the country, to return to their hometowns for a major public holiday. And while public transportation around the rest of the country is being restored, we're not sure how long it will take before this major artery is back up and running.
Sally, what else do we know about the earthquake?
Well, this is the biggest earthquake Taiwan has seen in decades. Like I say, 4 people dead and dozens more injured. Tsunami warnings have been put in place not just here in Taiwan, but also in Japan. And the quake was so strong, it caused work at the chip giant TSMC to come to a standstill, and rescue efforts are ongoing. But as the extent of the damage is revealed, it's becoming clear that it could be days or even weeks before transportation links are fully restored.
Thank you, Sally. That was Sally Jensen reporting live from Yilan County, where the earthquake has caused major damage to one of the country's main highways. Now, the full extent of the damage is still unknown, but officials are in full response mode. Our reporter Leslie Liao is at the country's Emergency Response Center in Taipei, where President Tsai Ing-wen has been meeting with disaster management officials.
2 hours after this morning's massive earthquake, President Tsai Ing-wen and Premier Chen Jianren came here to New Taipei City to go over the country's next steps.
那么中央各部会也要跟地方政府保持联络，提供所需要的协助。国军也会提供支援，中央地方相互合作，一起将 灾害带来的冲击降到最低。
This is Taiwan's Central Emergency Operations Center. In times of crisis, the central government gathers here to formulate responses to disasters. Cabinet ministers like those from the Transportation and Interior Ministries, as well as the heads of Taiwan's emergency services, briefed President Tsai earlier on the earthquake's aftermath. But this building serves as the brain for the central government's response to today's earthquake. Local and city governments have their own command centers scattered around the country. Joseph Wu and Leslie Liao in New Taipei City for Taiwan Plus.
As President Tsai said, Taiwan's military has been mobilized to assist with the earthquake relief efforts. The military has set up an emergency command center and dispatched its Vice Chief of General Staff to Hualien to coordinate relief efforts with local governments. Officials say they are inspecting all military bases, and though relief efforts are being led by local fire departments and reserve forces, military personnel will remain on standby to provide assistance and equipment, especially during nighttime operations. To better understand the earthquake, our reporter John Van Trieste spoke to Liao Ziwei, the director of the Central Weather Administration's Seismology Center.
The Hualien region has frequent earthquakes, but how often do they get earthquakes this big, say bigger than 7.0?
花莲这边刚好是位处于板块的碰撞带、交界带，所以其实有地震算是很常见的事情。但是这么大的规模当然是比较罕见的，尤其是我们台湾过去在观测以来，之前最大的地震就是921极级大地震，然后那个规模是7.3。那这一次的地震规模仅次于921地震，有达到7.2，所以算是非常剧烈的一个地震。
What are the chances of a similar-sized aftershock in the next few days?
目前在科技各方面，它还是无法预测的。但因为我们过去有相当多的观测上的经验，那一般来说，规模7的地震之后，然后大概是1周以内都不排除会有规模6到7之间的地震发生。
The last earthquake of this magnitude that Taiwan had was in 1999. What's been improved since then in terms of safety regulations?
我们有一个是建筑物耐震设计规范，那这个规范呢也是在921之后有进行很大幅度的调整，包括就是要标注说这个建筑物它是否临近于活动断层，还有就是它是否处于那个比较高风险的区域。那后续呢，针对像是提到是混凝土结构设计规范，也就是说建筑物它在新建的过程，它也要参考这个规范，然后去做比较严格的一个工法，还有它的材料。
That was John Van Trieste speaking to Liao Ziwei, the director of the Central Weather Administration's Seismology Center. Now, the latest official figures have seen the number injured in the earthquake reach over 700. We'll have more coverage on Taiwan Plus News later. Taiwan's military says there were 30 Chinese warplanes and 9 warships operating around the country in the last 24 hours. 20 of the planes breached Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. Now, this area acts as a defense buffer zone, but is not part of Taiwan's territory. In recent years, China has regularly sent warplanes near Taiwan as a form of military pressure. Taiwan's military says it deployed missile defense systems in response and that it is monitoring the situation. U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping spoke on the phone to manage tensions between the two countries. Now, it's the first conversation between